Welcome to Backstage with Geoffrey Morrissey. We are chilling in the media tent on a gorgeous Saturday here with WERS, but even more importantly, Alexandra Savior has joined us after a killer set. That was awesome.
Thank you very much.
Who are you looking forward to seeing today?
I don't know.
That's okay. There's a lot of good stuff. You'll have opportunities to maybe discover some new music.
Yeah, the band that played after us sounded amazing. Stranded Oaks, is it called?
Strand of Oaks.
Strand of Oaks, yeah.
Yeah, real rock and roll, good sound.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that.
So one of the things that we've been trying to do with this festival is talking to different artists, trying to figure out what their first festival experience was like. So do you remember the first time you either attended or played a festival and sort of what was going through your head?
Yes, I had a boyfriend who was playing some festival in Tea in the Park in Scotland.
Nice.
And I had just met him, and he was like, do you want to go to Scotland with me tomorrow? And I was like, okay, sure. So I got in this bus with all these people I didn't know and slept in a tiny little bunk. And then I woke up and I was in Scotland, and I walked around, and yeah, it's really muddy and awesome.
It sounds like a cool time. That would also be like sort of like the Katy Perry song "Waking Up in Scotland" or something like that. Maybe a track for the next record.
Does she have a track called that?
No, it's "Waking Up in Vegas," but I feel like "Waking Up in Scotland" might be a little bit more wholesome, you know.
Yeah, show her down to earth side, you know.
Exactly. But when you're at a festival, and I really do feel bad because it was very good, you know.
Thank you.
But how do you attract people to either come out early, see the set? How do you try to get people to your stage? Is there anything you shift as opposed to when you're just playing at a club?
Well, honestly, this is the first proper festival I've played where we played in at South by Southwest in the day, but it was like 100 degrees, so it was a little bit different. So I don't know. It's really up to them.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? If you're listening to this and you have the chance to see Alexandra at a festival, be sure to do it. But you moved from Portland, Oregon to LA, correct?
Yeah.
What was that adjustment like? Because I can only imagine that was quite the culture shock.
Yes, it was a major adjustment. I don't think I necessarily adjusted, but I did live there for about 2.5 years, and it's pretty different in Los Angeles than in Portland, but I met a few nice people. But spending a lot of time alone was really good, I think, for me at that time, making the record and stuff.
Yeah, no, solitude does produce some good music, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and the Belladonna of Sadness is really good music. If you have not checked it out, be sure to give it a listen. But you're signed to Columbia right now. This is not the first time that you've been signed to a label. I know that story's sort of been told hundreds and hundreds of times in different interviews. But what changed in your approach to round two? What really convinced you that Columbia was really going to let you do what you wanted to do?
Well, it just seemed like they were the first label who asked me what I was, or I don't even know if they asked me what I wanted to be, but more just like accepted me for what I was, rather than trying to produce, change me into something that will be more sellable. They didn't compare me in any way from the beginning, which was refreshing, so I chose them.
Awesome. That's what we like to hear. So this is your first album that you sort of released on a major scale. Sorry, excuse me. What were some of the lessons that you learned while making the Belladonna of Sadness? What was something that you might take to your next record?
Well, I definitely learned how to put different strands of music together, and I learned how to get sounds from pedals and things like that. I learned that the best time to write is when you're hungover.
Really? Yeah. I would find that to be the exact opposite situation. Is it reflecting on the night before, or?
Yeah, possibly, but I think that the thing is that when you are hungover, you sort of lose all of your filter. It's like friendliness is gone, morals are gone. You just are thinking about, burgers and your shame.
Burgers and Shame would be another great title for an album or a song. But that's really interesting. I never would have guessed that. But you made this record with a famous producer and who sounded like you had a good time working with him. I don't want to use his name because I feel like that comes up in every interview.
Oh, it's okay.
Is that a little bit of a double-edged sword? Sort of working with someone so famous, but every time that you do an interview like this or that you talk about it, it's almost sort of like, he gets half the credit. for the record.
Yeah, it is. At the time, it really felt like we were doing it together, so it didn't, I mean, I had never done this before, so I didn't really understand that it was going to take up that much of my life, but so at the time it didn't feel, you know, it just felt like I was making music and it was fun. But yeah, now I'm kind of like I've learning to accept it, but yeah, it's pretty interesting.
And there's a slight kind of sexist undertone to that too.
Yeah.
I feel like too, like if it was Alexandra Savior, that maybe this wouldn't be such
It's
a part of
funny
the
because
narrative of the
that's
record.
actually what they write a lot on the bill.
Really?
Yeah.
That is so unfortunate. But Brandy Carlisle, who is playing here today, once remarked that there's a karaoke singer in all of us. So when you go up to do karaoke, what song are you sort of going to go up and belt out?
There is a singer, she's an Italian singer from the 60s and 70s called Mina Mazzini.
Mina Mazzini, okay.
And she has the best persona where basically she was just sort of like this innocent singer, and then she had an affair with an Italian actor who was married, and they had a child together, and basically the press shamed her and she got taken off the radio, and then she came back in like a blaze of glory, and she built this persona around herself that was basically just like, fine, then I'm just going to be what you tell me I am, and so I really enjoy her.
Nice. That's what we like to hear. And then you do a ton of these interviews supporting the new album. What is something that you wish journalists would ask you about or talk to you about more often?
I guess what I'm making now, because, you know, it's been so long and I've talked about this record so much, and you know, what is relevant to me is this time that I'm in.
Well, you know, I feel like I always feel guilty asking that question, but yeah, what are you working on now? Because it's a question a reporter always wants to ask, but it always seems so cliche. So what's sort of coming up?
You'd be surprised. Yeah, I've just been like really messing around with guitar and using my limited skill to create things that are, you know, I'm not sure what they are yet, but there's something.
Well, that's great. And do you think you'll want to work alone more often? Do you think that's where you'll be most comfortable after, you know, sort of doing a couple songs alone?
Yeah, I think it really depends on what place I'm in creatively. Usually it takes a breakup or two to be able to make enough songs to have, you know, a full record. So who knows? Yeah.
Perfect. And then this will be the question I'll leave you with. Who are you listening to right now? Who's been filling up your Spotify playlists?
Oh, Mina Mazzini has been a big one.
That's right.
And I like the new Timber Timbre record. I love Cherry Glazer.
Of course.
La Luz, y La Bamba, yeah.
Wonderful. Well, all good things. And if you are not listening to the Belladonna of Sadness, damn it, you should be. Thank you so much for joining us today, Alexandra, and have a great rest of the festival.
Thank you.